actively pursuing the Forward Operating Bases program to improve response time and cross-border crimes as well as terrorism trade. To improve internal security, the Ghana Police Service has recruited and trained 5,000 additional force officers to put more police in our streets and communities. The service has also launched the See Something, Say Something campaign, intensified anti-armed robbery operations, and intelligence-led swoops throughout the country. As part of measures to improve transmission reliability of power supply and expand energy to all Ghanaians, we have between January to date completed the Kasua Bulk Supply Plant Point project, which comprises the reconstruction of a section of Gridco's 161 kV Winneba Malam transmission lines and tie-in works. The lights are on. Advance the Volta Achimota lot of the 161 kV Volta Achimota Malam transmission line upgrade project to 85% from 83%. Connected 58 communities to the national grid as at end June 2022, with several communities at various stages of completion, and commissioned the solar irrigation project at the Ho Technical University in March 2022 to promote renewable energy systems. Mr. Speaker, for balanced, sustainable energy partnerships that provide affordable power for industrial, commercial, and residential use, we have kept our promise and successfully renegotiated power purchase agreements with 6 independent power producers, namely Car Powers and Power, Early Power, Twin City Energy, formerly Amandi, AXA Energy, and Senate. These renegotiated agreements are expected to have savings estimated at 13.2 billion over the life of the PPAs through a combination of reduced capacity and energy charges. In other words, we will be saving the Ghanaian taxpayer 13.2 billion from power contracts signed by the previous administration. Mr. Speaker, government continued to invest strategically in key sectors of the economy for catalytic results under the Ghana Cares program. Significant progress made under the program in the first half of 2022 include completion of the first phase of registering farmers and value chain actors in the northern sector, currently totaling 1.3 million farmers and 32,970 value chain actors. This has started impacting how agricultural interventions will be delivered to our farmers. Offering a 50% interest rate subsidy on loans worth 5.95 million to private sector agribusinesses in the rice, soya, poultry, and tomato value chain to ease the cost of borrowing. Providing 27.3 million Ghana cedis as guarantee cover for loans amounting to 94.7 million under GESEL, safeguarding 1,309 jobs. Training about 25,000 under the Youth in Innovation Agriculture Program initiative to seamlessly integrate into agriculture value chains. Launched the National Training and Retraining Program under the National Unemployment Insurance Scheme in July 2022 to equip 15,000 Ghanaians with employable skills for industrialization.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
Right, now let me introduce you to our guests for today. We're joined in the studio by Mr. Mark Bedu-Abuaji. Now, Mr. Bedu-Abuaji is the CEO of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Yeah.
Joining us via Zoom is, no stranger to the show, Engineer Abdullahi Mahama. Is a civil engineer. He is a road and building consultant. Engineer, it's good to have you. Good morning. All right, we're going to fix that connection. We will be joined later by Dr. Charles Rekumbrobe. He's a Chief Policy Analyst at the Ghana Institute of Public Policy Options, GIPO. And Kofi Asare is the Executive Director of Africa Education watch. Okay, so already you start to see the segments of the media review that we would like to pay attention to. Now, I think we'll start in the studio, if that's okay, with Mr. Bidua Bwaji. And a couple of big items here. First of all, government is not asking for any more money. They're going to work with what they have. But there is an expectation that once the NABCO program ends, 100,000 people will be seeking jobs. Do we have a private sector that is ready to welcome and accommodate them? What are your general impressions of what the rest of the year will be like for the private sector, bearing in mind everything that the finance minister said?
Well, thank you very much, Kojo. Let me say good morning to your listeners. Let me start by saying that the private sector and, of course, businesses should brace themselves up for a very difficult next 5 months. And the reason is simple. We have been saying prior to the budget review that we have a very harsh environment. Of course, inflation as at June was 29.8. From the beginning of the year, the cedi has been depreciating rapidly. We have the policy rate going up and also forcing up interest rates. And the fact that inflation is going also fits into the producer price index, which at the end of June was 38%. So our expectation was that there's going to be a budget that will inspire a certain level of confidence and also reverse these macroeconomic challenges that we are having. But the revision of the variables suggests that the next 6 months or 5 months is going to be difficult. Now, 2022 budget had the inflation of 8.0 end of year. It's been revised to 28.5, which means that there is 20.5 increment. This suggests that in the next 3 months, there's likely to be an increase in inflation, although the rate of increase will be quite minimal before it comes back to 28.5. So inflation at the end of the year is virtually going to remain the same. Now, if you look at the revision of the GDP from 5.8 to 3.7, what it means is that there's going to be a contraction of almost 2.1%. It's going to come from all sectors, from the agri sector, from the services, and from the industry. And agri sector can employ people anytime. People can take their colours and then go to farm. But the industry and the service sector require certain environment. The contraction means that they are not going to expand. And of course, by expansion, they will be able to employ people. If they are not expanding, it means they will not be able to employ these people. The manufacturing sector of Ghana has been facing serious challenges. The growth has been reducing over the years. The manufacturing sector has the potential to employ a lot of people because it has a very long value chain, right from whoever is giving the raw material to those who are marketing it. There are several nodes within. That's why we've been calling for policies to strengthen the manufacturing sector. So I don't know where these NABCO people, for me, in the short term, will be going because of this contraction. Now, another difficult situation for the private sector will also be funding. Now, the budget deficit has been reduced in percentage term from 7.4 to 6.6. If you look at the monetary or the cash, it's been increased to 38.9 billion. And if you read point 42, the minister said that it's going to be financed domestically.
Yes.
Where are they going to get the money? It means they are going to mobilize funding from the market because they are not able to go into the international market because of our downgrade. Government is going to compete with businesses, and funding money that is supposed to go to businesses to expand, they are not going to get it. And the reason is simple. Government is risk-free. So if you are giving money to government, you give it to them, you go and sleep. At the end of the period, they get your money. Yeah. So every normal human being would prefer to give the money to government. And of course, that is what most banks are doing now. Yeah. They are not channeling their funds into the productive sector. They sit and give money to government for a period of time. At the end of the day, you have 15 to 30% based on the TB rate. So I see a very difficult period in the next 6 months. So it's important that we alert businesses, so that if they have any strategy, they begin to put it in place.
Mark, let's just look at a few things. I mean, you've talked about inflation, and we'll come to the contraction, but you've talked about inflation. Is the government just not being realistic? Inflation is currently at 29.8%. Government tells you we are looking at an inflation target of 28.5%. That's realistic, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, they are being realistic. That is because it started from somewhere. And we have, over the years, been giving series of warnings that where is the inflation coming from? Is it monetary or is it supply side constraint? And we have said that it's supply side constraint.
Yes.
We should have begun to address that aspect of it. And we don't seem to have solutions to that. The moment we see inflation, we jump to the monetary side and jack up the policy rate. Now, only this year alone, I think has been increased almost 5%.
Yes, about 4.5%.
4.5%.
Yes.
What it means is that it's feeding into interest rate, and is going to rather constrain the manufacturing sector. They will not be able to borrow. So it is obvious where the inflation is coming from. We should have tackled it from there.
But what you talk about it being obvious where the inflation is coming from also, you would hear the governor of the Bank of Ghana, even the Minister of Finance making the point that the policies, including monetary, are beginning to yield results. And so you would realize that from May to June, the rate of inflation on month basis was 3% compared to 4% previously. So while it may be increasing, it is not increasing at the rate that it used to previously. Now, you've talked about contraction of the economy. We are growing, except that we are not growing to the levels that you would expect. But that's also, as the finance minister would say, being realistic, isn't it? Because you anticipated this growth. Happenings in the first year have shown you that you cannot grow at 5.8, but 3.7. We're not experiencing negative growth, positive growth, but not to the levels we'd expected.
Well, I think we have a country, we have a jobless growth. Already with the 5%, we are not able to absorb the number of people that are in the job market. Now, you have projected that it will grow by 5.8. The expectation is already there. Now, it's been revised to 3.7, which means that the people that the expansion of 2.1 was supposed to absorb, they can't absorb. Now, we understand the situation. We just want to be realistic and also be informed about the situation on the ground. So that I said earlier, if you're a business person, you will not expect that things will change, and of course you change your strategy. Now, if, for instance, you intend borrowing, then you know that because of what is happening, if I go into the market, I'm not going to get an interest rate less than 25. Probably I'll get a much higher interest rate. So you factor it into your plans. If you use inflation of 8% at the beginning of the year as your target, all your projections will be around that figure. People were expecting that at least it will reduce. Now that they know that the reality on the ground is that it's not going to be reduced, it's important that they now start to re-strategize for them to position themselves to be able to do whatever they are doing. So that's exactly what we are saying, that it's not going to be easy, but as businesses, we need to ensure that at least we sustain ourselves at this level. We know GDP is coming down. What are you doing as an individual to ensure that you keep yourself within that figure as well?
Now, you say brace yourselves for a tough year, but are there not also opportunities in what we heard yesterday? For example, the suggestion that concessionaires are going to be brought in for things like road construction and tolling and all that. What I'm going to come to Engineer Mahama for the engineering aspect of it and the feasibility of such a plan, how quickly we can see a road constructed and so forth. But I want to ask you about the business side of it. If you had the funds and government came to you and said, construct a 10-lane motorway from Accra to Tema and then toll it for, 10, 15 years and make your profit, is that a feasible business to you?
It is a feasible business. Because for me, the removal of the toll booth and all, for me, I think it would have been done in a different way. I was expecting that they improve even the collection system, automate the system so that we don't spend the number of hours we spend at the toll booth. And it's been done in other countries that we could have just studied and implemented here. So if it's a PPP, of course, if private sector is coming, you expect the private sector will take its money. So the only way either the government is paying or another option is for you to tow and then get something from it. This presents an opportunity for the private sector. But how many businesses can participate in this? We are looking at a business that will have effect on the economy. How many people or businesses can participate in that? And mind you, most of our businesses are SMEs. About almost 90% are SMEs. So whenever the environment is not good, they are the ones that will feel the heat most, and they are the ones that are employing. I said earlier that government just employ just about 4%. The 6%, the 96% is being employed by the private sector. When they are contracting, it means they will not be able to absorb the NAPCO and other people that are just behind the door looking for job opportunities.
This is interesting because I know that I think Dr. Mohammed Awal, the Business Development Minister, in 2018, before he became tourism minister, he said that an estimated 75% of businesses in Ghana fail within the first 3 years. And those that survive the first 3 years don't actually go beyond 10 years. Academia is often blamed for not giving students the right training and so forth. But now we have NAPCO, which will end next month. And 100,000 able-bodied men and women are being encouraged to go for things like the Ghana Cares or Batampa
the U-Start program.
U-Start, forgive me, to go for the U-Start program. I mean, talk to me in terms of your practical experience here. 100,000 people are being encouraged to become businessmen and women in Ghana. What are their chances?
The question is, have they been equipped enough to be entrepreneurs? Where were they working? What were they doing in those institutions? Some were just there being sent around. It doesn't turn you into an entrepreneur overnight. And mind you, not everybody can be an entrepreneur. You need to have the skills, you need to have the temperament, you need to have everything to be an entrepreneur, because it's very challenging having a business in Ghana. So across board, over the 120 you are talking about, I may not see more than 10% of them be an entrepreneur. But the challenge also has to be with some of these policies. We sometimes just change the name and be doing the same thing. We have NEIP and all those things. The issue is, what has been the institution's relationship with private sector organizations like the Chamber of Commerce? What have been our input into the development of such policies? Because we have the skills, we have the men, at least provide some mentorship to those who are into those areas. That has been non-existent. So for me, the idea probably may be good, but the implementation for me is the challenge.
And just to add that there's actually a skills training component of the Youth Start program. And so, yes, that has been realized, and government has said we want to train these people. It just wouldn't be giving them money, would monitor them over the period, continuously train them to ensure that they succeed.
Okay, now I want to bring in our other guests who join us via Zoom. We have engineer Abdullahi Mahama, who is a civil engineer and a road and building consultant. We also have Kofi Asare, who is the executive director of Africa Education Watch. If you can both hear me, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Kojo and Winston.
Wonderful.
Good morning.
So I think I'll start with you, engineer Mahama, because you've been with us a bit longer. So big news. Government is taking a new approach to the construction of some of our roads. Concessionaires will be brought in. Accra Tema motorway is the first example that has been given by the finance minister. A 10-lane motorway to be constructed from Accra to Tema, tolled for a period of time by the concessionaire to make their money back. First of all, let's talk technical. How quickly can we build a 5 to 10 lane motorway if a concessionaire has access to all the funds needed?
Well, I'll say a good morning to your viewers and listeners. It will depend on the terrain, the topography of the corridor where the project is going to be constructed or to be executed. When you are confronted with river bodies and few other tunnels, when you have traffic to manage, those parameters will determine when to have all the money sitting down in your coffers. Because some of the components of the construction, no matter how resource you are, it demands that it takes some time before vehicles or any other material will be laid on them, i.e. when you are doing concrete works. And the motorway has a lot of tunnels. Some of them are not functioning, but because there are streams and river bodies that traverse across or go across the motorway, those are going to be the determinants. I don't see a lot of buildings being demolished other than the ones that I've identified right from the Tetekwashi area on the right-hand side and on the left-hand side in particular. Otherwise, the other areas on the road, the corridor is a bit widely open or space enough for the construction. The traffic management would be a big factor. If you may recall, just some few weeks ago when the slab collapsed, or the Ghana Highway identified that there was an imminent collapse of one of the slabs that we did a diversion. Within a week, we also had an uproar of the motorists who were using that particular stretch of a road. The motorway is just about 18 kilometers, so to speak. But if you are doing a 5-lane in both approaches, all things being equal, we should not be looking at anything less than 2 years. I'm sure I don't know whether the minister was specific with the duration. I remember the minister for roads and highways was speaking about 36 months or so in the previous promises that were made last year, early this year, mid this year, when they said they had some financiers who were coming to help to execute the job. But the completion and then towing of the roads, I think government should be candid to the time on the decommission or the cancellation of the toll for their own reasons that we cannot substantiate. We cannot be interviewed me with the Deputy Minister for Finance a day after the budget was read. And I quite remember I was emphatic that this is one of the needless approach that government has taken. And the fact is that across the whole globe, Ghana was the least tolled or least toll feed country.
Well, listen, go ahead.
Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire are charged in the region of 5 cedis equivalent. And we were doing 50 pesos and then 1 cedi for the SUVs. So it cannot be that test of time. If you encourage me, I would briefly want you maybe join the program to go and turn up something posted on my Twitter on the 8th of February. In the coming weeks, if not months, the toll will be back on stream. But government is trying to just nicodemously find a way to give the statement that when the new roads are constructed, it will be tolled. I would plead with government that every Ghanaian or those who are in our bracket, enough. If you want to bring it back, please do the honorable thing, bring the toll back. Because if the toll will come after some of the roads have been completed. Last week, Wednesday, the Ofankor and Sawam stretch of the road had been has commenced. The contractor is actually on site right now doing median where they are potentially going to expand the carriageway to 5 lanes. 3 lanes for the the express roads, and then 2 lanes for the service lanes. So that has also started, and at least I've visited the site to see work actually being executed in earnest. But don't wait for the next 3 years before you do or you levy vehicles on the roads. We beg you, things are hard, we understand. This is one of the legitimate ways to get your money, and nobody's going to frown on that. And then secondly, when government decide to bring the levy in full force, we wouldn't want to hear the minister, the substantive minister for roads and highways, lamenting that the subcontractors or the agencies who have been mandated or who have been contracted to take those levies are under let me say they are actually submitting monies which is about maybe 60 or 40% less the expectant figures.
Engineer Mahama, if I may, I believe the plan that the finance minister is outlining is that they will bring in private concessionaires who will use their money to construct the motorway.
Yes,
construct a 10-lane motorway and then toll it themselves.
Yes, I get you. What I'm saying is that if they have found reasons to bring the toll to some of those roads which are going to be financed by the concessionaires, I am saying that even with the 38 toll that we had in the country, it wasn't enough. So that was, want to toll some of,
that was probably because of how much we were charging. But if a private concessionaire constructs the road and decides for themselves how much they are going to charge, they will pick a rate that they believe will make them profit, won't they?
Yes, but what I'm saying is that how many of the roads are going to be constructed? He's talking about 400 kilometers of road, and that is quite a short figure in terms of length. If you're talking about the motorway, we are talking about the Nsawam or Fanko, or let me say, Fanko and Sawam Stretch, which I just started last week Wednesday. Are we saying that the ones which are already there, like the Malankaswa Road, which was funded by government, or we had loans and we have funded the road and they are still in good condition, we're not going to toll them now because they are not newly constructed roads? That's what I'm saying. The government.
They didn't say they are going to toll them. You are saying they should toll them.
I am proposing that if they have found reasons to toll the motorway after construction, and then the
Engineer Mahama.
Constructed, it's only that you bring the toll back, and that's one of the most legitimate ways to get your money, and no Ghanaian is frowning on them. You cannot start to toll the motorway and maybe two other roads, and then overburden Ghanaians on those stretch of roads because they are privately owned, and then they need to make their money in, let's say, 6 or 10 years. As far as its lifespan is within 10 to 15 or to 20 years maximum. So the private person would also factor that if I'm doing a road which is going to cost about $500 million, and I'm expecting to have motorway has about 93,000 vehicles per day, both saloon cars, SUVs, light vehicles, and trailers. How much am I supposed to toll each of the vehicles to be able to realize my money in about maybe 10 years, and use the other one to do the deferred liability time or to maintain the road until I give it back to government? I'm just saying that if you are beginning to bring back the toll, just do the honorable thing, bring the toll to the roads, and then if you are targeting some of the roads which are express roads, like doing an express road that you need less time, less conflict to travel on that stretch of a road. The other ones which are, let me say, semi-express, which are also in good conditions, government should do the honorable thing by towing them to realize money because they are really, really, really down financially.
Right. Now, I don't know. I mean, your call is that government should go back to doing something that they were doing inefficiently before. I mean, they felt.
No, I gave a caveat. I am saying that if you do the towing of the roads, if you look at Ayimensa, and if you look at Sapeman on the Ofankon Saum Road, and you look at what we had on the Malankaswa Road, immediately the toll, there is this camera picture. It's like a flash, so it is counting the number of vehicles using the place for a day. So government should come and lament to us. They had a way to solve the problem, but it was because they were inefficient. But they had put in mechanisms to check how many vehicles were using the place per day. So when at the end of the month, you are presented with data. I mean, the monies that the toll company or whatever it is accrued. You have a confirmatory data to check whether indeed you are expecting 100 million Ghana cedis
and you are receiving 60 million, then there's a problem because you have installed those cameras. Use the cameras well. So if you want to just throw our hands in despair that something was being done inefficiently, let me just make a proposal to you. I could do this with Joy FM or Joy TV, because you have installed the cameras which are supposed to check the average, so that can give you about 98% accurate data of vehicles that use the place. Let me give you this example. When we're about to do a road construction, before you determine the pavement thickness and all that, you have to carry out what we call the traffic data, or what we call the traffic count. The traffic count informs you about the particular types of vehicles that traverse that particular stretch. And it informs you about the axles. So upon that, you do the projections and use those axles to determine the pavement thicknesses. Now, one of the things that we do in confirming what we have done as to is that we'll go to the toll and we'll have our boys, our technicians assigned to those areas, and they take the boxes of the various classes of vehicles for a week, and they will do the projections for the month and for the year. So those data are more adequate than whatever humans are doing, because the cameras are picking every vehicle. So we have to tell the government to up their game. If you give it to company A and you are getting 40% less what you are supposed to get, why don't you get them out? Because the data is enough. Unless, of course, we tell ourselves that somebody is not checking the data because of obvious reasons. Okay. Otherwise, what I've seen at Mensa, what I've seen at Sapperman, what I've seen at the wager, is enough to be able to give us about 98% accurate data to get the money that we need on the stretch of the roads.
Okay, can you hold on for us, Engineer Mahama? Let's get to Kofi Asare. Kofi, so let's look at the minister's, comments on education. He's talked about FSHS. He's talked about the challenges, which is more due to transportational issues. What's your take on all of that?
Good morning. Morning to your cherished audience. I think that I don't think that feeding in high schools is a transportation one. I honestly don't understand the angle from which the finance minister appreciated the issue, but obviously the challenge is not one of transportation. And that is why we are worried that even though he gave the assurance that he's putting in place measures, he said we are fixing it. That's all he said. Yeah. I'm quoting him. He said that we are sponsoring food for students in senior high schools, and we are. I wasn't enthused at all by the word we are fixing it, because this is a very, very big issue that threatens our academic calendar. And I was expecting that, being the one who holds the wallet, to the education sector, the Minister of Finance should have given us measures being put in place. Why am I saying so? I'm saying so because the Ministry of Education explained that the reason why there are food shortages in senior high schools is because of inflation. And that's because of the inflation, suppliers are not willing to supply foods, at the old buffer stock prices. We believe that inflation, yes, has caused an unrealistic pricing regime per the buffer stock approved price levels, yes. But the bigger problem, 90% of the problem, is because you are owing suppliers up to 340 million, with some being owed as far back as last year. In that case, they are not happy to supply anymore until you pay them. So the bigger problem actually is slow or delayed disbursement of approved senior high school funds by the Ministry of Finance. And that is why the Minister of Finance had an opportunity to explain to Ghanaians measures it is putting in place to ensure that the Minister of Finance does not continue to renege on respecting the disbursement plan submitted to it by the Ministry of Education with respect to free senior high school food. But unfortunately, he didn't. And I think he should come back and explain that, because parents will be much more comfortable and confident in his measures if they get to know what specific measures he is putting in place. The second reason why that is important is because our sources at the Ministry of Education tell us that One option which is being vigorously pursued is the option of arranging an overdraft. An overdraft so that delays in releasing funds from the Ministry of Finance to buffer stock can be atoned for with the overdraft. Now, we have recommended this overdraft facility months ago as one of the mechanisms. Buffer stock needs averagely about 100 million every month. So if every quarter they are getting 300 million, there won't be food shortages, but they're just not getting it. So if you have a stopgap, that intervenes between the delayed disbursement and then the demand for payment of suppliers, then you won't have any supply disruptions. The challenge is that option is an expensive option because an overdraft more or less is a loan in Ghana. It's a loan. So the Minister of Finance ought to have explained to us the implications of this alternative to the budget of the Free Senior High School. Because if the overdraft facility is coming at, let's say, 10% cost, it means that to have cost implications. And that is why it was important to be specific on measures being put in place. One, to ensure that the inflationary measures, the inflationary tendencies cited by the Ministry of Education as accounting for supply disruptions are curtailed or are mitigated in terms of its impact on the free senior high schools feeding budget. And two, explaining to us measures being put in place to ensure that he follows the disbursement plan for free senior high school feeding, or if he's going to go for the overdraft, how will it cost us and how does it situate within available funds for free senior high school management? Okay. That is why we thought that he
how about the cost of free SHS over the period, over the last 4 years, 5 years? You seem to have some concerns with the figures. What are they?
Yes, we have very, very, very genuine and worrying, very genuine concerns about a worrying trend. One of the jobs that we CSOs do is to undertake what we call public expenditure tracking. We track the disbursement and also the expenditure of education sector institutions to be sure that we are spending efficient and we are spending effective. Now, when it comes to the free senior high school, government's own account of how much it has spent on the free senior high school since 2017 keeps changing, it keeps evolving, and it keeps changing not by increasing, but it keeps fluctuating. Okay, now let me start from here. Last year, around the same time, the Minister of Finance came to Parliament to address them on the media. He submitted that 7.62 had been shipped so far onto the free senior high school program since 2017, its inception. Now, a year after, when we have actually added to the numbers, yesterday, the Minister of Finance comes to the same house on the same occasion and indicates that the total amount of money government has spent on the free senior high school so far is now 5.3 billion, about over 2 billion less than what was reported last year. So you ask the question, is it the case that as the year goes by, as more and more students are enrolled onto the free senior high school program, the cumulative cost of the program to government reduces, which is not possible? It means that there is some data integrity issue somewhere. Then what makes it even more worrying is that last year, just around the same mid-year period when the minister came to Parliament, the Minister of Education on the 7th of June, during his media press series, indicated that government has spent so far 7.7 billion on the free senior high school. So we have three different sets of data being submitted to the public by the Finance Ministry, two different ones by the Finance Ministry, and then a separate one by the Education Ministry. What is the actual cost of the free senior high school program so far?
Well, Kofi, what I see, and I'm just looking at the 2021 mid-year review statement, paragraph 284 says, Mr. Speaker, the free SHS policy has since its inception been financed from the annual budget funding amount and the Government of Ghana funding sources. Over the past 5 years, a total amount of 7.62 billion has been allocated to implement the free SHS program. Allocations. That's what it says here. And then when you get to the 2022 media budget review, he says we've spent 5.3 billion. You know that he says they are located. Some would argue, technically, it doesn't mean those were the monies disbursed to them, but they were allocated to them. Anything can happen.
If you go to the appendix of both budgets, the appendix, you will see that the actual expenditure is there. The appendix of the budgets and the actual expenditure will tell you that there is no year we underspent on the free senior school allocation. Every year we actually exceeded. So if you go to the appendix, you look at the data, put together the data there, you realize that we actually spent more than it was allocated. And again, the last year's media budget was read in July. Okay. Yeah. Now, on the 7th of June, about 3 weeks before the media budget was read, the Minister of Education held a press conference at the Ministry of Information and submitted that 7.7 billion has so far been spent. That was 3 weeks before what you are saying. You understand? So if you look at it from all angles, the various data, our information, the data we have is that 7.6 billion been spent so far. If we do our expenditure tabulation, okay, from the budget.
Okay.
So it means that there's some incongruity. There is some inconsistency between the data available at the Ministry of Finance and then the data available at the Ministry of Education in respect of cumulative free senior school expenditure as of 2021 December 31st. Because the gap between the Ministry of Education's data and the Finance Minister's data, even if you are using last year's one, there's still a gap. You understand?
Okay. Can you hold on, all of you, because we need to go for a short break from our partners.
Right. Yeah.
And then
you've been listening to our guests on the Zoom. We've been hearing from Engineer Abdullahi Mahama. We've also heard from Kofi Asare. And here in the studio, we've had the pleasure of the company of Mr. Bedu Abuaje of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. When we come back, we continue with them and hopefully touch on energy as well. Stay with us.
Hey, customer, so you are welcome.
Davy. Today I want beans with 30 cedis worth of fried plantain and just add little gario.
Hey, Kweku, now you are doing well, pal.
Oh, Davy, it's because of star 500 hash. Use your ATM money more, talk more, and browse more to win in the Elto to go Tukumisu Reloaded promo.
Hey, so me also, I can win the Sika Bebre to upgrade this my go bed business.
Yes, Tukumisu promo is now reloaded and is bigger and better. Simply dial star 500 hash and meet your weekly AT money, calls and data targets to win your share of the over 1 million Ghana cedis cash prizes up for grabs. Dial star 500 hash now.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Football's greatest season is here, and DSTV is the stadium with all the action. Enjoy every single match from the FIFA World Cup, the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, the UEFA Europa League, and the UEFA Champions League. The greatest football from the greatest leagues around the world. We're talking Ronaldo, Haaland, Messi, Salah, Lukaku, and Benzema. All week, every week. Don't miss football's greatest season on DSTV, sport's greatest stadium.
Having your baby try out different tastes and flavors isn't just about giving them a change of taste. This helps to develop their palate and prepares them better for accepting varieties of adult food as they grow. So go ahead and try any of our 6 Cerelac variants, that is wheat, maize, rice, biscuity, fruit pieces, and millet. Remember, each bowl of Cerelac contains goodness that helps your child's normal growth and development. Cerelac, it's all good, Mum. This advert is FDA approved.
What? It seems Royal Foam did not get the memo. Times are tough. Prices are going up. They're giving 10% discount, free pillows with every purchase. Hey, Royal Foam. Just when you thought all they manufacture are quality but affordable mattresses and pillows. They take it up a notch by being thoughtful in these hard times. Royal Foam has reduced their prices drastically. Buy a mattress, get a free pillow. Enjoy 10% discount instantly nationwide. Take advantage. Enjoy Royal Foam. Enjoy the best. Call 020-227-1000 for other hot deals happening at Royal Foam. Royal Foam. Rest assured.
The Ninth Wonder Tours with Adansi Travel is here. It's a Nairobi, Dubai, Kigali, Dubai, and exclusive Dubai Adansi Papebi unforgettable mega tour. Come along on the Ninth Wonder Tour as we explore Nairobi, Dubai on Kenya Airways, Dubai on Emirates, and Kigali, Dubai on Urand Air. Each of these goes for 12,990 Ghana cedis per person, 25,900 Ghana cedis for a couple, and starts on 9th August with over 15 different dates to choose during August and September. This package covers flights, visas, hotels, transfers, and Ninth Wonder Tours prepared specially for you. Pay for the value of 6 days and enjoy a 9-day tour. There shall be a special all-white yacht cruise on Dubai Marina, guided discounted shopping in Dubai, and a great experience at the Desert Safari. Book your seats now on www.adansitravels.com or call 05955 00817 0552 648 267. You can visit our head office in Accra, East Legon, close to American House. Adansi Travels, feel life's beauty.
Subaba's African Queen traveled from Nigeria to Hollywood. The Banj's Oliver Twist followed suit. CK's Love Wantinti not far behind, took it a step further, going all the way from Africa, touching down Europe, Asia, and even the Middle East. But where and how did it all begin? Discover more about the Afrobeats legacy that influenced the world in the Showmax documentary series, Journey of the Beats, only on Showmax.com.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
You're welcome back. It's the Super Morning Show on Joy. Thanks for staying with us. Of course, we're having a conversation about the media review as presented by the Finance Minister yesterday. Our guests who have been helping us get to the bottom of it, Engineer Abdullahi Mahama is a civil engineer and he's also a road and building consultant. Kofi Asare is the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, and Mark Bedu Abuaji is the CEO of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thanks for all of your text messages and tweets. Keep them coming through. Text messages on the Super Morning Show are brought to you by the Glycocritical Illness Plan, GSIP. It's in your best interest to survive.
So feel the beauty of the African continent and enjoy the colorful on Adansi Travel 9th Wonder African Tours. Join me, Winston Amwa, as I explore 2 amazing cities in Africa, Addis Ababa and Cape Town, from the 11th to the 19th of August 2022 for only 15,990 Ghana cedis per person. Oh, then I'm about. So Mokoso. And this trip offers you the opportunity to see the famous Entoto Park in Addis Ababa or taste the finest Ethiopian coffee. And in Cape Town, you get to visit the V&A waterfront, the Table Mountain, and many more. So book now at dancitravels.com or call us on 0595 500817 or 055-6310404. Charlie, you deserve this vacation. Don't miss out. Adansi Travels, feel life's beauty.
Now, as a business owner, you know how important it is to safeguard your business against all forms of cyber attack. Surfline knows this too, and that is why they're offering you a business bodyguard called Surfline Internet and Business Solutions, SIBS. Now, with SIBS, you can rest assured that hackers and scammers cannot come near your business. SIBS is designed to safeguard your production lines, online transactions, social media pages, personal data, and digital assets against online hacks and attacks. 24/7. You can choose digital protection, which prevents your social media accounts from impersonation attacks, disaster recovery, which brings back your system minutes after disaster, cyber protection for online activity, and secure SAP B1 software that prevents attackers from gaining access to your entire network. Getting SIBs just might be the best investment you will ever make for your business. Call 0302 745 766 to book a demo and see how Surfline can help. Surfline, better together.
And Polytank, trusted by generations for 30 years, we've carved our place in the hearts of Ghanaians as reliable, top quality, and durable. Brand that they can trust. Dear Ghana, we are because of you. Thank you for 30. Polytank, trusted by millions nationwide. Polytank, trusted by generations.
All right, now let's get back to our conversations, and I think we'll do a quick wrap as we go around, starting in the studio. So, look, I mean, we didn't really expect it to be a picture of, roses and petals. We expected it to be a hard-hitting reality. A reality check, right? That's exactly what we've got. Sure. But there are some who still suggest that government is being a little optimistic, that even with their adjusted projections, there is still the reality of the impact on the Ghanaian, which wasn't really highlighted or captured. So according to the various sectors in which you operate, I would like you to tell us, in your analysis, what the real impact of the media review will be on Ghanaians, according to your specific area of expertise and operation. So we'll start in the studio.
Well, I think we are within the business sector, and of course, production and supply of goods and services are done by the business sector. Yeah. And the challenges, as you said, are very real. But as businesses, we are also not losing hope, because that is where we get our daily bread. So a lot of them will hang in there and ensure that at least they are sustainable for now and be able to provide and also keep their customers over a long period of time. So in spite of the challenges, we are expecting that businesses will now still do what they are doing. What we are actually not expecting also is a massive expansion, because of the challenges that they are facing, because of lack of funding, because of the environment. We are not expecting that they will expand. We are also not expecting that once they are not expanding, it means that it's all going to affect employment as well. But one thing within the budget that I also see as positive is the establishment of the Development Bank Ghana. One of the challenges that we are facing as businesses is lack of medium to long-term funding, of which Development Bank has come to resolve. As a chamber, we sign an MOU with them to ensure that they make the funds available to businesses. If you're able to disburse as early as possible, that's going to solve the issue of funding for businesses. In fact, we have identified about 5,000 of our members that are going to benefit from this funding. We, as a chamber, we've also identified certain specific areas that when we build the capacity of our members, we'll be able to have positive impact in our economy, and that is export. We've been talking about the structure of our economy. Of course, I was expecting that the minister, if not coming out with a policy, will make some suggestions on how we're going to structure our economy, because export is key, and we import almost everything into this economy. So, and after we've taken it upon ourselves with the support from GIZ, and we are training over 2,000 exporters and potential exporters. As I speak to you, we've been to about 10 of the 16 regions that we have. And now we are building them up to understand what it is to export and after, and the rules of origin. And we are having positive impact in that direction. In the not too distant future, we expect that those who are already into export will now look at this market of 1.2 billion, and the potential ones will also come in. When they do that, they will expand and also employ more people. We also realize that technology is key, and most of the businesses in Ghana, one way or the other, do not, especially the SMEs. I mean, it's an important way to market your product. to automate your activities and to increase your revenue and reduce costs. But most of them are not into that. So at the moment, we have also trained about 1,000 people in SMEs in IT. We are expecting that this is what we are doing to support businesses and also to support government in trying to move the economy forward. Within the budget, I've also seen some suggestions, activities to also enhance the agriculture sector, commercialize it, and I think that is very key. Value chain analysis is important for every economy to grow. We have realized that one of the reasons why most of our industries and also the 1D, 1F is not succeeding is that we don't do proper value chain analysis. So when you are setting up an industry, you should know where your raw materials are coming from. If you don't do that, you set up an industry and the raw materials will not be available. You won't know where even to sell the product. We have a clear case of the Commander Sugar Factory. So the value chain analysis that they have done, and they have provided some financial support, for me, it's a step in the right direction.
Listen, I wonder if I can get a 30-second response to this before we go to our other panelists, because our time is running out. But it's an important question. You've given us the big picture. Let's talk about the small picture, if you like. Some friends of mine own a hospital. They are worried that since COVID hit, their patronage has gone down. Secondly, statutory payments are stifling them. So SNIT has taken them to court, right? Because they have to keep up their SNIT payments for their staff. At the same time, NHIA owes them money that they haven't paid. NHIA says we can't pay you because SNIT hasn't paid us. So there's this strange vicious cycle going on. Then they have to pay, for the property taxes and all of these things. So by the end of it, they are really working for the government. Okay, and there are many people who have been in this slide since COVID hit. In addition to all the big picture, are we going to see more businesses closing down in the next 5 months or so?
Well,
quickly.
I won't say more business. As I said, the services they provide are very relevant. I mean, if it's a hospital, then you're done. It's that one day you just get up and say you are closing down. It means you've lost your business. What is it that you have to do under this circumstance, at least to sustain yourself? If government owes a business, we expect that at least there should be a proper way, a payment plan for that particular business, so that they'll be able to also service their debt and pay their staff. There are a lot of businesses that are being owned by government, but it's not being paid. Of course, the reason is that there is no money. But these people also pump their money into these businesses. So we need to look at this issue critically. And I think it's a subject that will take us a whole day, because we have a tall list of members that are suffering from